You're used to me making lots of how-to videos in a crazy house, but when I work in a mad herd, I always have to deal with just one hair color. That's usually the natural height 6, and from there I make all those how-to videos. But I also want to bring it a bit closer to reality. And this could be a typical customer in the salon. Generally the hair is dyed with shoes. And that has been done multiple times before. And now she requested me, she would like to go lighter in a sort of balayage technique. So in this video, I'll take you through how to best apply balayage in black hair and lighten it. One very important thing for you too in the salon is that you have to tell the customer that you never know in advance how easy it is to come. No idea how often this has been colored at the ends or easy to lighten or not. So step by step, I'm going to take you through how to best apply this in the sun. Are you watching? I'm going to use a strobing technique. And that means I'm going to put in highlights because I don't want to bleach all the hair completely. Jenny doesn't want that either. So we're gradually working towards a lighter look. The striping technique allows me to put highlights right up to the root. My next pass will be a balayage technique. So just watch. I always work with foils because I need the heat from my foil to lighten the hair as much as possible. I'm going to bleach with Snow White and I will mix it with 9% because Jenny Lee has strong hair. So I can mix it perfectly with 9%. I'll make it 1:1 because I'm adding Carabon to it. That makes the hair stay stronger during whipping. Bleaching process plus I still feel some no yellow away. Pro Booster to achieve a cooler final result. I've divided the hair into 4 sections, so middle parting, top of the head, parting behind the ear on the right, and then I start at the back. I begin my technique at the back of the head. I like starting with the color technique from the back. That's when you think, all right, the bombier has done its job, then you can rinse it out already, so you can give the front a bit longer. I'm going for a straight parting. Well, and you can see I'm missing a piece of hair here in the neckline, which is only an advantage for me because then I have to lighten less hair. Okay, so I'm going to work with my strobing technique. I'm making a straight parting. And then from here, my first passé, I'm going to expand it. As I mentioned, we do want to leave some of the dark hair in between for a diffused final result. Then it's up to you whether you do it very well, coarse or very fine sifting. I choose to do so myself. To weave it a bit more coarsely, I'll carry over the section to the outside so I know if she wears a ponytail or lifts it up. I'll also see my coloring technique here. I work with foils and I do so deliberately because I know putting hair in foils that it gets warmer and that my lightening will be stronger. So I fold my foil onto my collar because personally I like working with a color board as it lets me stamp the color deeper into the hair. I apply a generous amount to the length. I really push it in there and towards the root I let it fade out. So I gradually work it towards the main application. I keep my foil closed. Naagjes. So we'll move on to the next pass. I take about 2 centimeters up. I continue in my horizontal sections. Grab a blanket. Just audio. Well, that's pretty nice, isn't it? I start in the middle of the hair. And now I'm not going all the way to the root, but I am making sure the ends are fully thick. And the beauty of this technique is that you end up with a highlight right to the scalp, plus a balayage and then also the natural hair color showing through. So you end up with a really nice soft final result. That balayage, since it's dyed black, I'm also wrapping it in a foil. Fold it up. I'm leaving this one a bit longer, so I'm not making it as short as my last picture, because then I know exactly that in my long foils. That's where my balayage technique is, and in my shorter foils. This is my highlight technique. In this way, I go all the way up and start on the other side. Now, when I start at the back, I'll also be working with horizontal passes again. And what I've done on the back, I want to do here too. When Jenny Lee ties her hair back, I want her to have highlights around the edges. So I start here with my highlighting technique, and then on top of that comes the balayage technique again. I've now got all the techniques in. As you can see, I finished with 4 highlight techniques on top. If you want more natural on top, then I would say finish with the balayage technique. That's up to you. Now that he's fully immersed, I'm going back to where I started. I'll check it after. So I lay my foil out. Look, and then you can really see that he's already doing a good job. He can do a bit more for all I care. When I reach the right level of color, I rinse it out, and then let the front sit a little longer until they reach the same level of color, and then I can also rinse it. But for now, just a bit more patience, which is the hardest thing for me. When you try, make sure you have patience. Start with your next customer, get the coffee, and wait a bit. Well, we're now 45 minutes in. Shall we proceed? Well, as you can see, he really is well lit. If I scrape over it with my fingers, you can still see some warmth pigment, but I'm going to neutralize that shortly with my thumb. So from here, I can start rinsing the back now. Well, after everything has had its full effect time, I'm going to rinse it out and then wash it afterwards. I've bleached my hair, so I lack keratin. So my soft shades toner stays in place as long as possible. So this is the moment I choose to apply a treatment to replenish the hair. First, I make sure all the bleach is thoroughly washed out and the shampoo we apply. The one I then use is the Keramax shampoo. Keramax shampoo replenishes the keratin in the hair. Okay. From hair, the Kera Boost infusion goes on it. I make sure it's evenly spread, so I spray about 15 times on the hair. Dat helpt me bij de markt ook nu. Then to do it again, to secure the boost infusion of keratin in the hair, I'll apply the Keramax treatment over it. Yes, it can sit for a few minutes, but I just do the application myself. Just massage the product into your hair, and for me, the processing time starts right away. What I did first is take one lock. I dried it because I want to see what pigments I'm dealing with now, since I want to tone it. On wet hair, I find that harder to see. So you don't have to dry all the hair, just one lock to check out what you're dealing with and what you need to do. This might be for many, and that's why I'm making this video for you. Such a scare moment that you think, yes, and now. Because if we look, then we see some yellow pigment here. The points have obviously been dyed black more often. So here I'm dealing with an orange pigment, those remain darker. And the rule is, when you're toning the hair, you can't tone it lighter than the color level you're at. Well, if I then, or if you're going to catch them, then I know I have to work with different colors of tone to get a nice, even final result. Because I want to make this yellow a bit warmer and deeper, but on the other hand, I want the length points to be cooler. So what am I going to do when dealing with yellow pigment and I want to add some warmth? Then I will use the fifth, and on the length points I want to tone it down a bit. So I'll use the 5N Natural and a pack of 5T Tobacco. In that way, I bring this piece and the length point together. I need to work. Then I find it more convenient to work with a bowl and a brush. The soft shapes are designed for use in a bottle, but you can also work just fine with a bowl and brush, allowing me to work much more precisely. So I'm going to prepare the colors. This hair, I'll make it flat again, because the color is actually applied to towel dried hair, and then soon you will see that it results in a very shiny finish and that it eliminates the fear factor. You don't have to be startled anymore. Now it's very easy. Wherever you see the yellow pigment, that's where you apply the 05E from the soft shades. And then it's right away. I'll only prepare the color for the length tips, and then it just goes straight on. It's naturally a bit more fluid in color, just as I said. It's done with a bowl and a brush, but be careful because then you'll also see a little droplet fall. You do have to fiddle a bit. He has now had a processing time of 20 minutes, so I can rinse it out now. Now I want to close the door, so I'm moving on to step 4, the Kira Balance Acidifier, and they close hair cuticles. And because of that, the tones also stay in the hair longer. Generously apply, let it sit for a few minutes. But as I already mentioned, when I let it sit, I'm also starting to immerse it. And once it has had its processing time, I rinse it off. And then finally, she will apply step 5. Step 5 is the Kira Shield Leave-In. This is also a Dear product. You don't have to rinse it out. Well, I mainly apply this to the length points. And then you will see that when the hair is dry, the cuticles are closed and the hair really flattens beautifully.